YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back, and today we're going over trades we would like to see this offseason. So maybe best fit trades, not necessarily predictions, but I did throw my final prediction in here for some of these players that could be trade candidates as well. So kind of a 2-for-1 special here. All kinds of NFL offseason content on the channel like this video. Tons and tons more to come. Really excited about free agency in the NFL draft. We have you covered. More content than anybody out there. We grade every single free agency signing. So you're going to want to stick with this. Subscribe, turn notifications on. Check out that Twitter. Breaking news on that Twitter. Always giving you my takeaways, predictions, everything instantly when things happen on that Twitter. Link in the description, comments for that, as well as the Sided app. You can talk football, win Amazon gift cards every single week. Pretty cool. Check it out. Yeah, there's that Twitter. Absolute must follow. Just constant action on here. And I'll link I'll put a link in the description and comments for this page. It's a page I created, updated live cap space, potential cuts, how much teams would save, what I'm predicting to happen, trades, everything on this page. So a lot went into that. Check it out. Link in the description, comments for that. First trade, Deshaun Watson. So this is what, maybe the best fit trade, what we would like to see, maybe what I would like to see if he was to get traded. But I've talked about it several times. I don't actually think Deshaun Watson will be traded. A lot of you do still, but I'm thinking the Texans aren't going to trade him. They've kind of said that. They don't want to trade him. They could eventually trade him, so I'm not going to rule it out. But I'm thinking they're going to play hardball with him. They're going to call him on his bluff, see if he sits out. Maybe they're thinking like me. He's not going to hold out for that long. So we'll see. So you see at the bottom left, my prediction is he stays with the Texans, but we'll see what happens. But teams like the Panthers called, and they're interested, but the Texans pretty much shut them down and all the other teams. I think that really the only shot I feel like is if the Dolphins or the Jets offer their high pick plus a lot more. Panthers do have the 8th pick, but here's a scenario I came up with that made sense to me. That was a really good fit, and the Niners very appealing for Deshaun Watson. Be a hell of a team. I just would really love that Panthers offense with Deshaun Watson. Under Joe Brady, his system, Matt Rule obviously involved in the offense, but Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson. We'll see if they get Curtis Samuel back. I would just love that group together. That defense is getting better. A lot of young studs on that team, so it would be so perfect, so fun to watch. But if the trade went down, I think the 8th overall, 2022 first, 2023 first, 2024 second, and Teddy Bridgewater. It's not like the Texans would be locked into Teddy Bridgewater for this year. They would be, but if it doesn't work out, they can cut him. Bridgewater's he's a little underwhelming this year. He's a solid veteran quarterback. Has some athleticism. The downfield explosive plays, I guess, is what he's lacking. But, if the Texans wanted to build around him with all those picks, the roster in general might be better. Obviously, they're significantly worse at quarterback. They could also look at for their future quarterback with the 8th pick or future picks there. So I would like this for the Panthers, a lot. Best case for the Texans if they had to trade him probably would be Jets. Getting Zach Wilson would be ideal. Maybe the Dolphins getting the 3rd pick and Tua Tagovailoa. One of those probably the grade A+ scenario for the Texans. But ultimately, I still think that they try to call him on his bluff or they try to stick it out. I don't think he really holds out long term. I think he's back with the Texans. More quarterbacks next. Carson Wentz. I'm thinking Colts, and you see at the bottom Carson Wentz and Zach Ertz, and you see at the bottom my prediction. I'm actually kind of thinking this happens. Something along this happens. Ertz and Wentz goes to the Colts. I was originally thinking Bears, but we know it was Bears, Colts, and among several other teams interested, but those were the teams that were most interested. There's a lot of BS rumors out there on what the actual trade layout was going to look like. I wasn't really buying it too much at the time. Here's the thing, though. I don't know if I would trade that 21st overall pick for even if it came with Ertz. I'm not a big Wentz guy. A ton of risk. Too many people basing things off a 2017 season. It's 2021, but mainly the cap hit every single year. So, I probably wouldn't do this, but the best fit and the best situation for these guys probably would be the Colts. And I wanted to be realistic at the same time. Like, if this trade went down, what would it look like? So maybe I wouldn't trade 21st, but it would have to look like that. Rumors that the Colts offered 2 seconds for Carson Wentz. The Eagles turned that down. So you throw Ertz in there, maybe you get the first, maybe the Colts are willing to offer the first. Maybe it ends up being more than that. I wouldn't love that, but I could see that. A first and a third, first and a fourth, something along those lines. Here's the thing with the Eagles, though. They're going to start to lose leverage soon. They're holding out for the best offer, and they did a phenomenal job, playing it like, they don't really want to trade Wentz because we want him to be our starting quarterback, but now it's starting to feel like that might be their move there, a little bit of a snake move, which I applaud them for. Because they might just want Jalen Hurts and they're trying to trade Wentz in the end anyways. But if this keeps going on too long, teams will realize that. They'll start to lose some leverage. They won't get as much. So, take this. I think if it's offered, good fit for the Colts. And I'm feeling it. I'm predicting both. We heard, I kind of, about a month ago said that Zach Ertz would probably get traded. I had him as a strong trade candidate, if you remember. But now the rumors are coming out that they could be packaged together. And that tells me a team like the Colts or the Patriots, watch out for the Patriots as well. The Bears are still in the mix for Carson Wentz, I believe. I don't think they would take Zach Ertz as well. They could cut Jimmy Graham. They like Cole Kmet, though. So, any of those other teams apparently interested. But, if they're a package deal, Colts or Patriots. So, I'm actually going to say that's my prediction as well here. Another quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo. I thought this was actually a strong possibility, during the year, end of the season, before offseason actually started. Garoppolo back to the Patriots that'd be something. That'd be definitely a hot topic around the NFL, popular topic, if he ended up back with the Patriots. The Patriots, I kind of wanted to get a veteran guy, no project, no system change, no messing around. Garoppolo familiar with the coaching staff, the system. They're getting some opt-outs back. They're looking to compete now as long as they got a veteran quarterback. So this was something I thought that actually could happen, but I'm starting to think that it doesn't. You see my prediction. Niners might end up with Jimmy still. They're trying to move on from it, it feels like, but they missed out on Stafford. The Patriots missed out on Stafford. Teams are just scrambling for quarterbacks, but for the right one, not going to go for any quarterback. So I don't know if it really happens. The Niners got to you've got to remember they can't get desperate. Jimmy Garoppolo is a guy that helped them get to the Super Bowl just last year. So I don't know. Earlier, again, I thought Garoppolo would be elsewhere, but now I'm thinking it's less likely. But if the trade did go down, maybe a fourth-round pick, not a whole bunch of value, the Patriots definitely would want to do that. The Niners, that's the thing. The Niners wouldn't be doing this if they didn't have another quarterback in place. So, it would only be if they had a quarterback option in place, and then teams would know they're going to get rid of Garoppolo. They would probably even cut him. So this is actually pretty valuable to the Niners' fourth-round pick here in this scenario. But I'm thinking he stays, but it'd be interesting to see him back in the Patriots. Patriots would prefer to get a veteran guy so they don't have to, part of the roster, mainly the quarterback position, has to start from stage one while the rest is ready to win now. Not really ideal. So what do the Niners do at quarterback? How about Derek Carr to the Niners? Again, not my prediction. I think it's possible. But I would love this. Derek Carr with that offense, Shanahan offense, but he actually has a defense as well, so it'd be a damn good contender right here with Derek Carr. Apparently the Raiders don't really want to trade him, but they're not really hanging up the phones, not really saying we're absolutely not going to trade him. Rumors that it could take 2 first-round picks, and I think the Niners would do that in a second. I don't know. That's why it's a little surprising. Maybe the talks of this haven't really heat up even more. We know the Bears had an offer. I believe the Panthers and the Niners, Patriots had to made the call. Colts, Washington maybe. But 12th overall pick, which is pretty damn valuable, and 2022 first. Yeah, I don't know why the Niners, maybe it would take more, but I don't know why the Niners wouldn't do that. The Raiders, the problem with them is they don't want a setback. They don't want to kind of go backwards when they're, they almost made the playoffs. They couldn't really execute down the stretch. I still think they can make the playoffs for sure. I still think they got a bit of work to do, They got to make some cuts to get even, and they're going to do that, but then that creates a little more holes, and they already have to work on the defense, the receivers. So a team that's kind of borderline a playoff team, so a good team. But yeah, they got a little work to do here. So would they want to trade this and not go full rebuild or anything? But I think it's kind of a quick turnaround, quick retool as you're retooling the rest of the roster by getting picks. So I think this would be a win-win. Maybe the Raiders could add something else. But I'm thinking this is possible. I really like the idea of Carr to the Panthers as well. And I thought that was very realistic because the Panthers were all in on Watson and they realized they couldn't make that happen because of the Texans' decisions. And then they were all on Stafford. They had a deal. Like, that was ready to roll. That involved the 8th pick. So why wouldn't they be in on Derek Carr? And the explanation is they are. We haven't really heard about it, or the Raiders want more than what we heard, or they just don't want to trade him at all. So I was thinking the Panthers or the Niners, another team like the Panthers that can get it done. But I'm just starting to think they trade Mariota and they stick with Carr because they don't want too much of that setback. But definitely one to watch. I think his name comes out every offseason, never ends up getting traded, obviously. So what about Mariota? Where's he going to go? Not my prediction at all, because I really don't think this happens at all. But I absolutely love the fit of Mariota on the Giants. We've seen the scheme versatility, system versatility of Marcus Mariota. Pretty wide variety, a big playbook, a wide open playbook with a guy like that. Small sample size in the Raiders, but it looked pretty good. You've seen some of Gruden's West Coast offense. They mix a little RPO in there. So Mariota showed he still got the legs too, because you kind of wondered if the injuries kind of got to him. But it doesn't look like it. He had some pretty good balls downfield. It's a similar offense what the Giants are trying to mix in there for Daniel Jones, and he's a pretty underrated runner. Mariota's going to be better. Big play, more big play potential, safer with the ball, better, on the ground with his legs. He's just better. Daniel Jones could get better. He has upside. Mariota doesn't really have upside, but where's Daniel Jones going to get to? He's not going to wake up one morning and just be a Super Bowl potential quarterback or playoff, quarterback. So, and this would be a cheap option here, 4th round pick. Raiders looking to move that $10 million cap hit away. I would love it. Absolutely love for the Giants. I love the fit. I just don't think it's going to happen. I talked about a prediction before. I think he ends up at Washington football team, but I also throw the Patriots in there. Washington football team or the Patriots. I do think he gets traded, and those are the two teams that stand out a little, the most to me. Maybe another team comes into play. Bears, Colts, someone like that. Washington, Patriots, two teams that I think is very likely here. A lot of Raiders trades, not because I really want to focus on the Raiders necessarily, but because they have a lot of guys that could be on the move here. They have a lot of candidates. It's just, I guess, a coincidence that a lot of them happen to be on the same team. So Trent Brown, who has a $14 million cap hit, the Raiders just do they really just want to cut a guy like Trent Brown, a really good right tackle? They do need to clear the space. It's a big cap hit to help, and he hasn't really been healthy. When he has been, he's been damn good. I don't really want to cut that. You can get a pick in return, or they might want to keep him. The Seahawks, they don't have a first-round pick. They're looking to help Russell Wilson. They're finally looking to add to the offensive line to get him protection. So, you don't want to mess around with any maybe guys or project guys. So go get the good guys. And they have a guy set at left tackle with Dwayne Brown. Trent Brown can play that right tackle position at a very high level. The only concern here is injury concern. He does have a pretty big cap hit, but mainly the injury. So how about a second-round pick for Trent Brown? Whether it's future or whatever, second-round pick, that is something that kind of makes sense to me. First is too much because the injury concern. And the Raiders may want to move up in the cap. So, but then anything lower than the second, it's too cheap. So, that to me, that made a lot of sense. And we'll see. It's definitely a strong trade candidate. My prediction, he ends up staying with the Raiders. I think they kind of give it one last try here because they know they're a lot better with him. Maybe they're thinking he can stay healthy this year. He had the COVID situation last year, so that kind of messed it up a little bit. So maybe more of a fair shot to stay healthy. They could be believing in that. So, and I think there's, they could really want to clear a ton of cap space to get better in other spots, right away, a quick turnaround, get ready to make a playoff push and more. But, so they may want to cut all these guys, but they have a long list of guys they can cut or trade, Mariota, to clear the space where they can handle those guys and keep Trent Brown and still have that space. But if they want to go really big, want to clear that much space, then maybe Trent Brown comes into play. How about a different Brown? Orlando Brown. We know he's going to be traded. He wants to play left tackle. The Ravens have Ronnie Stanley, maybe the best left tackle in football. Orlando Brown, very solid, but they would like him at right tackle. He doesn't want to play there. So I think the best fit is Washington. I would love him at left tackle. I'm thinking, I wouldn't trade a whole bunch for him. I'm, a little scared about that because the lack of athleticism, mainly him being kind of scheme dependent, more man-power blocking scheme. Washington gives a mixture of that, and Scott Turner's offense, familiar with pretty much everything there. So I think it would be a good fit, specifically at left tackle where he wants to play with Washington. It's pretty bold to say a swap deal would happen if this happened, but I think it would if this deal went down. I'm not predicting it. You see my prediction we'll get to in a second, but the swap deal makes sense because Washington just wouldn't give up the 19th pick and, not have a first round. I don't think they would do that. So they would swap. They would move back to 27, which is the Ravens pick, and then the Ravens would also gain second and a fifth. Washington would gain Orlando Brown. I think a really good fit at left tackle there. Keep Morgan Moses at right tackle. But my prediction's going to be the Jaguars, and I had a whole video on Orlando Brown, an entire video, landing spots, why he would go here. Here's some scenarios, a huge video on that. So check that out. My prediction would be the Jaguars, and it could be the Chargers, a team like the Chargers, maybe the Colts. You can go check out the other video. I have some good landing spots. But, yeah, I think Jaguars, Chargers, Washington, top three teams probably. The reason my pick is the Jaguars is because, Washington picking 19, Colts 20. I don't think they want to give up that pick. They may want to use it for something else or make that selection. Maybe it's too early. The Jaguars are kind of sitting in that sweet spot, picking 25, have a bunch of other picks. They need one more piece of the puzzle on the offensive line, in my opinion, at left tackle. Orlando Brown's where he comes into play. It's kind of just offering that 25th overall just makes sense. I think it's agreeable for the Jags and the Ravens. So that was kind of my prediction there. But I do love the fit for Washington. A swap deal would be pretty cool if this happened. And then one more trade I would like to see here. Preston Smith, pass rusher from the Packers. He could be on the move. He could be a trade candidate because he has a pretty decent cap hit. The Packers are trying to create some space. They did so by restructuring the roster bonus on David Bakhtiari's contract. We talked about that a bit on Twitter. And they can continue to do that, but they may need to make some tough business decisions here to clear more space, to make some moves. And Preston Smith didn't play all that great last year. Rashawn Gary's starting to get better, so they possibly could put Rashawn Gary in more. Preston Smith, they possibly can move him to gain a pick and gain some cap space here. So that could be ideal. I think you would fit, the jet scheme there. Robert Saleh, in his Leo defense. I think he can kind of fit either edge spot on the defense. So, and he's going to be a little cheaper than, what's he going to be? A cap hit of $14 million for the team that trades for him. You look at a guy. Maybe some of the other guys are better, but, Bud Dupree's definitely better, and he's a free agent. But then there's guys like Hassan Reddick, Trey Hendrickson, guys like that are kind of question marks. But the free agent pass rushers are going to get like 17 to 19 million. So this might be a little cheaper route here. I think a pretty good fit in that scheme. Other teams could be interested. I think several other teams, Titans, Chargers, could be interested. I like the Jets. I like that fit. Can afford to give it a third-round pick. They can focus their first-round picks on other things, things other than edge rush, quarterback, offensive line, running back, receiver, corner, things like that. So it'd be the Jets could pull a trade to fill one of those needs there, where you get a guy that's gonna be better than a third-round rookie because this defense can be ready to compete. So I do like the fit. Packers clear that cap space. Rashawn Gary steps up opposite Zadarius Smith. They get a third-round pick. Fantastic. Maybe they could take a receiver with that. Hopefully earlier, actually. Maybe multiple. That would be ideal. It's a tough one, though, because I'm almost ready to say this could be my prediction. A couple other teams. It really depends on what they want to do there because they're changing their defensive coordinator, obviously. Pettin's out. Pettin is gone. Scheme, I believe, is going to stay the same. That'd make a lot of sense to stay the same to me, in my opinion. But my point is before, they would have Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith, and Rashawn Gary on the field at the same time. They did a little more of that last year rather than just past year. But they like to do that. So do they want to continue to do that? If so, they value having 3 starter-worthy pass rushers. So maybe they won't want to do it. And then maybe teams, like I say, I would think the Jets may rather pay Preston Smith than pay a guy that as a question mark that might actually will cost more in free agency. But then again, teams might be, instead of trading now, they may go to free agency and be like, let's try to get Bud Dupree for $18 million, players like that. Try to get Shaq Barrett, even though I think you could probably go back to the Bucs. So maybe that is people's angle, team's angle, instead of going the little cheaper route and trading. So who knows here? A lot up in the air. Kind of leaning towards back of the Packers, but again, this is one that I might change my mind on per day here because it's that close. So a lot of moves are going to happen, a lot of trades. These are some good fit trades. We have all kinds of predictions on the channel, plenty more to come. We're also going to do what I think teams should do. Maybe that's similar to this video, but yeah, an insane amount of offseason coverage. We got you. In the comments, let me know trades you would like to see happen. Make them somewhat realistic, but you can find us on Twitter. Talk to us there as well. Follow that. Subscribe to the channel. Smash the like button. Turn notifications on so you don't miss a thing. Cannot wait for free agency to officially kick off, and then the draft is the best day of the year, at least in my opinion. So can't wait for all that. We'll have you covered. That is going to do it for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.